Blessings, everyone, on this beautiful Saturday. Um, Giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. Shout out to my church, Divine Covenant Ministry, my apostle, Marvin Hutchinson, my first lady, Patricia Hutchinson. Last Sunday, God used me to teach the children about the widow woman and the oil, and how God will make a way out of what we think is no way, and how he'll provide when we're down to, what we think is just nothing. What we think is impossible, it is very much possible, and what we think is too hard is not too hard for God. So I want to talk about the widow woman in oil. I'll be coming from 2 Kings 4, 1 through 7. So the widow woman and the oil, she was a widow woman because her husband, who was a prophet, he died, and he left her and her sons with debt. So one day, the debt collectors, they were coming to collect the debt that her husband had owed, and of course she didn't have it. So the debt collectors, they were like, okay, so if you don't have this debt, then we're gonna take your sons, and they'll be, slaves. They'll work off, the payment. Pretty much they'll work off, the debt. So, a mother, as a mother, can you imagine, somebody coming to you telling you, okay, yeah, we're going to take your sons because you don't have enough money to pay this debt. So, she was desperate. She was desperate. I can only imagine, all the emotions that, she was feeling, but I know she was desperate. She, needed help. So what she did was, she didn't get on the phone and ask, she didn't get on the phone and call her family and cry about it. She sought out God. So she went and found the prophet Elisha, and Elisha pretty much provided her with these set of instructions. So she's like, Elijah, my son, my husband, he was a prophet. He, was a man after God's own heart, and he left us with some debt, and the debt collectors, they came and said, if I don't pay this debt, then they're gonna take my sons. I can't allow them to do that. So, I need you to help me. So he asked her, what do you have? So she was like, I don't have nothing. And so he was like, what do you have in your house? So, excuse me, y'all, I'm outside today. It's beautiful, and I just wanted to be outside. So excuse all the noise in my background. So he asked her, like, what did you have? So she's crying, she's like, I only have a little jar of oil. So he was like, okay, so this is what I need you to do. Go take that, take your little jar of oil, go to all of your neighbors. So she used her neighbors. Her neighbors were her resources. So sometimes we can't be afraid to ask for help, but first we have to seek God first, so he can provide those, instructions for us. So he told her to go around to all of her neighbors and collect empty vessels. So she went and collected all these empty vessels, and he told her, once you collect the vessels, try to get as many as you can. And then what I want you to do, you and your sons, go in the house, close the door behind y'all, and fill up each vessel with the little jar of oil that you have. So she only had a little jar of oil, but miraculously God provided her with more than enough to be able to sell the oil. So God made her an entrepreneur. So she was able to sell the oil and pay off her debt. So not only did he make her entrepreneur, but he allowed her to be debt free. That's our portion as children of God. We're supposed to be, financial free. We're not supposed to be obligated to debt. We're supposed to be lenders, not borrowers. So so then, she had enough to be able to sell and pay off the debt. So, she didn't have to give up her sons. Because, I mean, what mother would? A mother going to do whatever they have to do, to provide for their children and to make sure their children is safe. So um we got to know anytime we ask God for something, he'll always provide us with certain instructions. And not only will he provide us with certain instructions, but he'll always provide us with more than enough. But first we have to seek him. See, the widow woman, she didn't get on the phone and cry and call all of her friends, her family members. She simply, went to God, like, God, I need your help. What can you do for me? And, the prophet Elisha, God put him in place to be able to, give the widow woman the instructions that she needed in order to, pay off her debt and to even have more than enough. So, how many times have we felt like in life that we were down to nothing? I mean, no money in our bank account, just only enough money to probably pay our bills. We probably still need gas. You still probably, kids need shoes, clothes. I mean, the seasons are changing. So how many times have you all felt like your back was, against the wall, and you didn't know what to do? So I can only imagine how the widow woman felt in that moment. Like, she was desperate, she was crying out for help, but she knew that her help came from the Lord. So, um, I just want to let you all know that, God will always provide for us in our time of need. And, even when we're not in need, God is still, providing. And we have to be grateful for the things that, we have, and the things that God has already, provided us with. Um, I've been down to what I thought was nothing, and went to God, and he provided a solution. So God will create a problem to show up as the solution, because he will always get the glory from anything that we ever go through in life. Um, so I just wanted to, be an encouragement to anybody who's going through right now and feel like they're just completely down to nothing. Seek God, pray to God, ask him, what you should be doing in this moment. And I promise he will give you the instructions that you need. And just like the widow woman, God provided a way to where she can pay off her debt and live off, the rest of what she had, which was more than enough. And he, made her entrepreneur from that. So, we got to know that we are in trouble. We seek godly wisdom to gain a new perspective. You use what you have to get what you need. So where you want to go. The widow woman only had one small jar of oil, yet she was instructed to pour it out. Don't be tempted to hold on to something because you can't see where the next supply will come from. God's math is different, and he will multiply your seed if you trust him. So God provided her with the increase, and he multiplied what she had. The poor widow woman became a distributor for the kingdom of God with just one small jar of oil. So she had what everybody else needed in that moment, and she didn't even know. So that's how she was able to become an entrepreneur in that moment. She was able to offer something to the people around her that they didn't have and that was needed at that time. She was quickly able to sell her product because she was providing something that everyone needed. Even in the midst of her own problems, she was a solution. God gave her supernatural abundance, resources, overflow, and provision because she obeyed his word. All things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. And the widow's woman indebted state, God made her an entrepreneur. She used what she had despite how weak and scared she felt. And the Lord turned her biggest misery into her greatest miracle. And he will do the same for you. Be encouraged today. In your place of weakness, you will find your greatest strength, which is God. So I just wanted to leave you all with that. So what we think is impossible is not. Nothing is too impossible for God. What we think is too hard is actually not, because nothing is too hard for God. So whatever you're facing, whatever struggle or challenge that you're going through, I encourage you to give it to God. I myself, was facing a challenging, something very challenging in my life. And I prayed about it, and God, started giving me instructions to act upon. So once God gives you those instructions to come out of what you're in, you got to act on it. You got to act on it quick, because sometimes there's a window of opportunity, and you got to be able to act on that opportunity that God is, giving you. So just always know that when there is a problem, God will always show up as the solution, as long as you allow him to. So I just want to leave y'all with that again. That was the story of the widow woman in Or from 2 Kings 4, 1 through 7. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday and be blessed.